It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Welcome to the Forum. I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman this week. The Forum brought to you by Hayes Med. And our guest this week is Kyle Smith. And Kyle is the Executive Director of the Coronado Area Boy Scout Council.
Correct.
That's a lot. That's a mouthful of stuff.
That is a mouthful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Now, tell us a little bit about yourself. Boy Scouts, you've been around Boy Scouts for a long time.
Pretty much all of my life. I'm an Eagle Scout, second generation Eagle Scout actually, and started Scouts as a youth in Cortez, Colorado. And my dad was our Scoutmaster. And when I graduated from college, kind of a neat story, lived in Fort Worth, Texas, and was working for the Sheriff's Department. And my wife was tired of me having the midnight shift and Thursdays and Fridays off, and I was never home. And so we were looking in the Sunday paper for jobs, and there was a job advertisement for Longhorn Council, which is based in Fort Worth. And just so happens I was going back to Cortez to go hunting with my dad the weekend, right before that ad, well, the week after we found that ad. And I said, well, I'd hate to be gone and miss an interview opportunity. So I said, when I get back, if it's still there, we'll send my resume in. And sure enough, it was still there. My wife faxed my resume down to the office. And the next day I was in for an interview. And the day after that, I was in filling out pre-employment paperwork.
Wow.
So it was a pretty quick process.
Pretty quick, and now you're into the Boy Scouts and having to learn the administrative side of it. And you've kind of moved around a little bit, doing administration work for Boy Scouts around the country, or actually kind of the Midwest, really.
Well, yeah, I started in Fort Worth. We were there for, I was with that council for 4 years. From there, I got promoted to senior district executive and moved to Colorado Springs, Colorado. And we were there for 3 years, almost to the day. And they had a leadership position in the Montana Council, which covers the entire state, and interviewed for that job and got that job. And we lived there for 9.5 years, and found out about the opening here in Kansas and interviewed for the job, and obviously I got it.
Coming a little bit more further south and closer to home, I guess.
A little further south and a lot closer to home.
There
definitely.
you go. So now you're working this administrative side of the Boy Scouts, and maybe there's some stories out there you remember when you were a Boy Scout, when you were like younger. What's one of those ones that just sticks in your mind that was kind of your happier times in Boy Scouts?
Well, you know, one of probably the best opportunities that I had was to go to Philmont and do a trek with some of my buddies. There were 4 of us from our troop, and then some other friends from our Order of the Arrow Lodge that did a National Lowway Philmont trek. And we were just shy of 50 miles on that trek, but it was an awesome week, and we learned a lot about ourselves. And you know, my brother was on that. My little brother, who's an Eagle Scout as well, was on that trek, and we still talk about it. And really a neat growing up opportunity for us.
And you've had a chance being with Scouts for a long time now, seeing a lot of kids that were probably on the brink of going one way, and you guys helped them out and brought them another way, and some really good stories that have probably come out of that.
You know, when I was in Colorado Springs, we really did a lot of outreach. And there were some refugee families in Colorado Springs, believe it or not, and some of them were participating in our after-school programs, very similar to what we're doing here in Kansas. And you know, those kids learn a lot about themselves and understand the community that they're in when they're able to participate in a scouting program. And we run those outreach programs as similar to a traditional program as we possibly can.
I think the kids then, when you do programs like that, they learn to make friends. They have similarities with other kids that are in the program too, and it's kind of a lifelong thing, a lifelong learning example for them.
Exactly. You know, Cub Scouts was intentionally designed as a neighborhood program, and so that, you know, they definitely get to learn who their friends are, become better friends with their friends. You know. do a lot of cool things together, some things that they probably wouldn't get to do otherwise.
That's pretty cool, and they have a chance to maybe take some trips too and see some things that they probably would have never seen in life too.
No doubt.
Now, talk a little bit about you, the whole family. You probably had to have this sit down at the dinner table one night with your family and said, "We're going to Hays, Kansas," and so you're back here, and you just brought the whole group with you. And how long have you been back here now in Hays?
We've been here for about 3 months, and we were ready to move from Montana. Like I said, we covered the entire state, and the job that I had there, I was traveling a lot, and I was really looking for a job where I wasn't on the road as much. And our council here is spread out, but not as spread out as Montana. And my family was just ready for the move. It really didn't take much of a conversation, and just really a good fit.
So the territory that you cover, what does it include? What area?
So we go as far east as Manhattan and all the way to the Colorado border.
So that's some big territory too.
Big territory, right along the I-70 corridor, and just a little bit south we touch Sharon Springs, and then we go north to the Nebraska border.
So it's been kind of a whirlwind for you, moving back here and getting all that organized. And were there a lot of things that you really needed to change, or do you think it was up and running pretty good?
No, the council is an excellent council. My predecessor, Wendy Shaw, I actually knew her. We had worked together in Colorado Springs, so I knew what I was getting into. She left it in great shape. We're making a few changes. One of our changes that we're making that I think is going to be a huge positive for our scouts is our popcorn sale. We're changing some of our prizes and hopefully getting some more scouts excited about selling popcorn.
Very good. So those are some of the things I wanted to talk to you in the first half of the show, just a little bit about yourself and Scouts. And in the second half of the show, I know there's been some talk in the news nationally about changes in scouting and what's going on. And I think we're going to dig into that in the second half. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Okay. It's, again, Kyle Smith, our guest. He is the executive council or the executive director for the area council on Boy Scouts. We'll talk to him more in the second half of the show. The show brought to you by Hays Med.
Hays Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region. With more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery, Hays Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hays Med, helping people be healthy.
Eagle Communications is your ultimate business partner. We provide business class phone with customizable features and fast, reliable internet. Your knowledgeable team at Technology Solutions has a broad base of IT services to meet your needs. Let the experts at Marketing Solutions get your message to the right people on the best platforms. The only piece missing is your business. Call Eagle Communications today at 877-61-EAGLE.
Welcome back to the forum. I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman this week. By the way, if you've got a guest idea Gary would like to hear from you, his email address is gary.shorman@eaglecom.net. Our guest today is Kyle Smith. He is executive director of the Boy Scouts for the area, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some stuff that's happened nationally. We've heard about Boy Scouts now allowing Girl Scouts in. Does that make a change for the name? Because you can't really call it Boy Scouts anymore if girls are in the club.
Well, the interesting thing is, as an organization, we have not changed from the Boy Scouts of America. What we have changed is the troop side of our program. So Boy Scouts, that was the original program. That's our 11 to 18-year-old program. And that has changed from a Boy Scout troop to a Scouts BSA troop. And so really there's a lot of misunderstanding of what we changed, and really all it was our Boy Scout program because of are introducing girls into our program.
Now you say BSA, what does that BSA stand for? The Boy Scouting
Boy Scouts of America.
You've just shortened it to the first letters.
Right.
Okay. So really that's about all that's really changed, is just those few select things.
Just that, yeah.
Now my next question comes into this this area that you guys have, Camp Hansen, which is out of the Kerwin area. Now you've got some, I guess some housing out there, and you guys do some camping out there. How have things and facilities changed out there now that you're allowing girls into the club?
Well, so because of our allowing girls, and even before that, female leaders, we have updated, especially our restroom facilities. We have single room restrooms where a Boy Scout or a girl can go in and use the restroom or the shower and close the door behind them and lock it so that they don't have to worry about somebody intruding in on them.
So it's all kind of a safe, secure atmosphere.
Exactly.
And then you also have female directors too, and male directors kind of keep it all, I guess, in check.
Yes, we do.
So tell us a little bit about Camp Henson. What exactly is that? That's the local camp for local Boy Scouts,
Right.
or local Scouts.
So we run 3 weeks of summer camp at Camp Hansen for our Boy Scout troops. We have anywhere from about 150 to 200 scouts and leaders, plus our staff at Camp Hansen. This is our first week actually for Camp Hansen, and we run merit badge programs. So all those rank advancements that our scouts are doing, they've got to have merit badges. And so we're teaching them some of those skills that they learned through merit badges.
How many girls do you have in this area that have asked to be in the program here locally?
Well, we don't. Right now, we just have Cub Scout age girls.
Okay.
And so council-wide, we've got about 10. It was an early adopter program that we participated in, and we expect that once school hits in full session this fall, that we will start seeing a significant number of girls joining. Our Boy Scout age girls, or our Scouts BSA age girls, will start in February of 2019.
Now let's talk about, I'm going to jump a little bit here, sorry about that. I'm going to jump a little bit. I want to ask you about Eagle Scouts who are getting their Eagle merit badge and stuff like that. Do you have a lot of kids that are working on that right now, and is it a long process? How long does it take for a Boy Scout to get the Eagle badge?
So if a boy wanted to do it straight through, it would be 18 months. Now, when you start at age 11 and you think about 18 months, that's a pretty quick process. And so, most boys, I would say the average is somewhere between 14 and 16 years old. The older they are, I think the more that they're mature and they truly understand what they're doing when they're earning their Eagle. One of the requirements is a leadership project where they find a project in the community and they put together a plan and they lead a group of not only scouts but adults to accomplish that project. And so, there's some maturity in that.
Well, you've talked about being in Scouts for a long time, and I imagine, and I've heard that Scouts and people getting their Eagle badges now, it's changed a little bit, more towards technology stuff. You're seeing a lot more technology Eagle badges now these days.
STEM has become very popular. We're realizing that our youth are more interested in STEM type activities than maybe the outdoor activities in the past. And so, if we're going to continue with the program that I know and love and everybody knows and loves, we've got to make changes. And, if they're gravitating towards STEM, we've got to figure out a way to do that.
Well, very good. Well, I appreciate you coming in and chatting with us today, and all the luck for you and your family out here in the Kansas area.
Thank you.
And working with Scouts out here. And I know it's kind of a dynamic time, a lot of things changing, but hopefully good things come out of it.
We're expecting a lot of good things, especially with the girls being added.
Before we go, if somebody is out there watching and they've got a family member or a kid that wants to become a Scout, or maybe somebody's watching that wants to become a Scout themselves, how would they go about it?
Well, the best way would be to go on to beascout.org and they can type in their area code, and what that will do is that'll pop up a pin of all the available Scout units in their area, and those Scout units will have leader contact information, phone number, email, and that's the best way. The second best way is this fall we're going to start our recruiting campaign and look for those flyers coming out through the schools.
Very good. Well, thank you for coming by and talking to us.
Thank you.
Again, our guest today, Kyle Smith. He's Executive Director of the local council for Boy Scouts. I want to thank him for being here today and want to thank you for joining us today. And I'm Mike Kerner in for Gary Shorman this week. This is The Forum, and we want to thank you for joining as well.